right. Good morning. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 9:08. I'm feeling so much better now. Thank you so much for all of your text messages and social media messages and that sort of thing. My face, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, and thank you for watching on Super Talk TV, I feel like my face is red because I am really embarrassed. I am being honest about this. All right, well, before we get to any of that, you know what today is, don't you? It is Freak Out Friday. Woo! Freak Out Friday, 615-737-9986 is the phone number. You can also super text us as well. That is where we give you the opportunity today to talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Whatever you're freaked out about, the floor is yours. So we want to hear from you about all of it. And we also want to hear from you without hitting the microphone. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. All right. Yesterday, let's just get this out in the open. I want to make sure that everybody knows I am not pregnant because that's what everybody was asking.
So many super texts about that.
Is this morning sickness? Because it did just come on suddenly. I've never had anything like that happen to me ever. Just suddenly out of nowhere. And in fact, I'm one of those can we just be adults and talk about this? You know, and not be uptight about talking about this? So I'm one of those, I don't really vomit. I just don't. You know, it's been years. I don't know that I can mark the date like Jerry Seinfeld has. Some people will get that. But I don't. And so suddenly I'm just sitting there talking to my friend Lisa Manning from WSM down the hall, Nash Icon, and suddenly out of nowhere. Well, that's where you have to have the computer up. I'm sorry, I should have warned you. All right, out of nowhere, this happened to me. For like 30 minutes. 30 minutes, y'all. I'm not kidding. And it was brutal. It was brutal. And here's what's, for me, more embarrassing than anything else is how loud it was. You can't control the volume when those things, that is uncontrollable, violent kinds of things that are happening to your body. You can't control it. You can't control the volume. You can't stifle it. There's nothing you can do. And I mean, the whole second floor was well aware that somebody is really sick.
Or mad.
Or very upset.
Yes, or very upset. So I was quite embarrassed. But I was telling the gang of three earlier, I'm real weird about body noises, right? So I can't. When somebody, I know people don't like it when people smack gum. I think, Ken, you're one of those.
Ooh,
and in fact, I mean, I think I've come to work a couple times smacking my gum, and you're like, hey, I got to shut the door.
Pamela Furr.
Can you go over there, please? So for me, it's like I don't like crunching. That just flies all over me. Like I even get anxious, like, oh, you got to stop that. You just got to stop. My dad likes to crunch on his peppermint candies. That's, so he's an 80-year-old man crunching. And I'm like, Dad, I love you so much. I got to go in the other room and holler at me when you're done because my skin just crawls. It's awful. And then I'm just real uptight about body noises. Like when I'm on a date, if they're at my house, watching TV, whatever, I don't go to the bathroom unless it's in the back of the apartment, of the home, or because I'm just weird about that. That's a little weird, isn't it? I know it is, and I shouldn't be uptight about it, but that's just, I just can't stand it. All right. So anyway, I'm humiliated, but life happens.
I'm just glad you're okay.
I don't know if it was about a food poisoning or I have no clue. But Ken, didn't you have a story where
Yeah.
there's some products, frozen
Got a
fruits and
frozen
vegetables?
fruit recall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe
got to look
Oh,
out.
okay.
that might be
Yeah.
what happened. I just don't know. But thank you guys. You made me feel very loved yesterday. and I love that you were concerned. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's move on from vomit talk. Let's talk about, because this freaks me out. You know, again, let me remind you that today is indeed Freak Out Friday. Yes. So 615, I know a couple people called and I was telling my little story. So 615-737-9986 is the phone number. If you've got a freak out, get on the line and we'll take your freak out comments. This freaks me out. Obviously, now we know that the five that were on board the Titanic or the Titan vessel that was looking for the Titanic, and they wanted to see that. They died. It was very tragic. Their final moments, really, before the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion. I have this gut feeling they didn't know that this was about to happen. I think it was so fast. And I've been reading about this incident. In fact, there's a decorated former Navy doctor who has revealed what could have happened during this final voyage, if you will. He told the Daily Mail, his name is Dr. Dale Moley, I think it's how he pronounces his last name, Moley. He told the Daily Mail that deaths would have been quick and painless, dying almost instantly by the extraordinary forces exerted by the ocean at that depth. Here's the thing. This is what I've been reading. You're minding your own business. You're enjoying the voyage, and it happens so fast, like a millisecond. I think it's even less than a millisecond when, you know, the pressurization and what have you failed, and there's this implosion. It happens so fast. It even happens faster than you and I react to. Like I'm touching my skin right now. That's a millisecond or less. The implosion happened even less than that. And so therefore, when they died, and you understand, their bodies turned to dust, really, when this happened. And so it was less than what they could feel pain. So they felt no pain. 1 minute they're here and the next minute they're no longer here. That's, I think, in a way, a blessing in disguise. There's no pain, you're gone. You're instantly in the ocean, and the next you're in heaven. Hopefully they're in heaven. So that is the best case scenario, because what was disturbing me and what I was praying for is if they were alive on this vessel, knowing they weren't going to make it, how excruciating that could be. How excruciating it is there's a father and son on board, to talk to your son saying, I love you, and we're waiting it out till the oxygen runs out. You know, that bothered me, and that's what I was praying for. So this, to me, is the best case scenario. It would have been so sudden, this doctor said, that they wouldn't even have known that there was a problem or what happened to them. It's like being here 1 minute and then the switch is turned off. You're alive 1 millisecond, and the next millisecond you're dead. Sad, but again, the best blessing in disguise. The crew were more than 2 miles below the ocean surface, which would have generated about 5,500 pounds per square inch of pressure. On board the vessel, we know this, Stockton Rush, he was the CEO, a French Navy veteran, a British billionaire, and then a Pakistani businessman with his son. They had a pressure chamber, apparently, a sealed pod that holds internal pressure significantly higher than ambient pressure, a pressurized gas gas system to control the internal pressure and a supply of breathing gas for the people who were on board this vessel. The pressure hull is the chamber where the occupants of that vessel reside. And it sounds as though they had reached the bottom when the pressure vessel imploded. And usually when it gives way all at once. Now, we don't know how this pressure chamber breached, but such an implosion could be due to a leak. There could be a power failure, a small fire from an electrical short circuit. There have been some complaints in the past, we're learning, about the safety of this vessel, concerns, complaints, all of that. But what we do know is a violent and instantaneous implosion as the high-pressure water outside flooded in and everything just ripped apart. And again, the bodies, these people, they would have just disintegrated, basically. But they would not have known it. And that, again, I'm freaking out about it, but it is a blessing in disguise. So it is 9:19, 615-737-9986. What do you want to freak out about today? We'll take your calls. We'll take your super text as well. We're live on Super Talk TV. Hello, on Twitch, on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, and on our website, 997wtn.com. We'll be back in a moment. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 997 WTN.
Nashville Pride events getting underway. We'll tell you what organizers say law enforcement is doing to keep everybody safe. Details at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. Thank you very much, Ken Weaver. It is 9:25 as the staff at WTN gets ready for a pool party tomorrow. That is something else that freaks me out.
Pool parties?
I am not a pool girl. I mean, again, I'm going to wear my big, huge, floppy hat, and I'm going to have sunscreen. I'll probably, have the sunglasses on. I'm going to wear like a big, long sundress. I'm going to look like, those 60-year-old women, that go to the beach.
Hey, that's a look. You can make that work.
It is a look for sure. So that's going to be me. Yes, that is not my. But they're going to have my understanding at this WTN pool party. That's what I'm going to call it. There will be lots of charcuterie, and there will be lots of tacos. I'm told. So
it's going to be some cannonballing going on too,
cannonball.
boy.
All right, see, so here's what I figured. This is what I'll do. Since I will not be going in the pool. Trust me on this one. But maybe I'll videotape those cannonball runs. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to do the public service.
Get me on tape, Ken. I mean, come on.
I don't know about that.
He's less intrigued now.
Yeah, sometimes things go awry for short, portly fellas when they do cannonballs, and I don't know if I want people to see it, and I don't know if people want to see it.
I don't know. That's a good point. Very, very good point. Anyway, you know what today is, don't you? It is Freak Out Friday. All right, a super texter just texted and asked if he could come over. He'll wear his Speedo. That's freaking me out.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
I'm going to wear mine with boots. Just like they do in those pedal taverns.
Pam would kill you, Ken, at a cannonball. All right, I think I've been insulted. I think that was...
Nobody makes a bigger cannonball than me.
Right.
There's a science.
There is a science, yes.
There is a science to it, I guess. All right, drop a Mars ball in the pool and video the reaction for us. Is it a Mars? I thought it was a Baby Ruth.
Snickers.
It's Snickers.
I wonder
is
if it's
too
multiple.
Snickers is too slick. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for.
We're going to wind up down the hall. We keep talking about this.
All right, let's stop. There are more important things to talk about today. And the phone lines are open, 615-737-9986 if you want to freak out, if there's something you want to talk about. Or if you would want to super text, you can do that as well. Now, someone mentioned this on the super text line. Because we were talking about this vessel that imploded and the sad news that these 5 people died. I mean, obviously they took a huge risk in doing this exploration anyway. And I think James Cameron is speaking out about it now. James Cameron, the director of the Titanic, who actually did go down in a vessel and videotape a bunch of footage from the actual Titanic. And I believe he was a part of an exploration that got footage that we had never seen before. He was part of all of that. But, I mean, it took a lot of planning and a lot of strategic kinds of things happening before they ever got into that vessel and went down that far. So we'll maybe explore a little bit about what he has to say about that. But there's someone who sent a text and said this is all a distraction. This is a distraction from the real issues that are going on. It's a distraction about what's happening with Hunter Biden, what's happening with Joe Biden and those investigations. And I beg to disagree. We know what's going on with those situations, and we continue to bring that information to you every day. Is this a distraction? Sure, but that doesn't mean the other stuff isn't important. And I think collectively around the world, this was an opportunity to focus on something together that wasn't dividing us like politics seem to divide us every day. So that's my comment to that from the Super Texter. All right, it is 9:30. It's Freak Out Friday. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got some construction work in the way, 65 southbound. This is actually 65 south northbound, right before the Thompson Station Road overpass. And then in Rutherford County, you got an accident blocking the right lane, that is, of I-840 westbound, right before the 24 exit. The FBI lab testing that white powder mailed to Republican members of the legislature to try to identify suspects and a motive. That white powder found in envelopes yesterday. Reports say the letters were signed, "Your Secret Despiser." Nashville Pride events getting underway. Channel 4's Ryan Breslin says organizers say they are thankful for authorities working to keep everyone safe.
This year comes with a threat made from a Kansas man towards an event at this year's Nashville Pride. The Department of Justice saying that a man on Facebook made a threat about making pressure cooker bombs for Pride and also threatened a mass shooting. One community advocate says he's confident both staff and attendees will be safe.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 9:38. I am Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today on this Friday. You know what else it is? It is Freak Out Friday. Woohoo!
Yay.
All right. So what are you freaking out about? Phone lines are open. Give us a call. I feel like everybody's on vacation. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. You can freak out.
Come freak out with us.
Yeah, freak out with us, indeed. Now, look, I'll even say this. Oh, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. So I had a lot of people freak out about statements that I made that they thought I made that I didn't make. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So people are thinking that I have been saying that the Bible isn't true. And I never said that, right? I never said that.
Gosh.
So people freaked out,
They did freak
complaints
out.
coming in like crazy. So if you would like to revisit that, you're more than welcome to. If that still has you freaked out, I'll be happy to tell you what I believe I said. And so, I mean, you can do that. You can freak out about the fact that First Lady Jill Biden is coming to Nashville. Did you know that? Saturday at 4:15 p.m., First Lady Jill Biden will arrive at the Nashville International Airport. And I think they do rolling roadblocks for the First Lady. So any of you guys, by the way, heading to the WTN
That's a good
Wilson
point.
Manor pool party. Of course, I can't remember right at this moment what time that's supposed to happen. Just remember, at 4:15 on Saturday, First Lady Jill Biden will arrive at the airport. She plans to stop at a local location to celebrate Pride Month in Nashville. And then she's going to deliver remarks at a political event at 5:30 for the Biden Victory Fund. So she's going to raise money for her husband. And so there you go. So that's happening on Saturday. So if you find that the interstate is closed for a minute, or maybe some back roads are closed for a minute, that will be the reason why. 4:15 tomorrow at the airport, and then at 5:30 somewhere along the way, she will deliver remarks at a political event for the Biden Victory Fund. So that's something to certainly freak out about. And one of the things that I did not get to yesterday that I will get to on this show today is Riley Gaines and her testimony before a Senate committee regarding trans athletes. And I know some of the other hosts have talked about that, but that's something certainly that I'm passionate about because I'm a woman. And I feel like more and more every day, the trans community, quite frankly, wants to get rid of women altogether. And so whether it's athletes, whether it's performers, whatever it may be, more and more the trans community seems to be more involved in the narrative that women should be at the back and the trans women should get more glory, if you will, or should be recognized more. And that there's something wrong with this whole thing. Anyway, 615-737-9986. It is Freak Out Friday. Let's talk to Ron, who's on the line. Hi, Ron. Are you there, Ron?
I am.
Okay, there you are. Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yes. Hey, well, what I'm freaking about is everybody freaking out. I mean, just like you saying about the Bible, I'm telling you what, people are just being religious. They need to be more spiritual. I'm telling you, the religious people are the ones that sent Jesus to the cross, which it had to happen. But they just need to be more spiritual. I can take and have an 8-year-old bring the word, a boy or a girl, and I'll get something out of it. So they need to quit nitpicking who's bringing the word forth. It don't make no difference, man or woman or who it is. I just,
So you're freaking out about people freaking out.
That's it.
Thank you, Ron, for your telephone call. Have a happy Friday.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, let's go to Martha, 615-737-9986. Hey, Martha.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, what I would like to say is I'm not really freaked out about it because I know spiritually what's going on. But for those people that don't know what's going on biblically, they really, of course, you need to read your Bible, but it will tell you about what's going on with this transgender stuff. It's called Return of the Gods by Jonathan Cahn. I'm not promoting him.
Oh,
I'm
you
just
know
telling you
what?
that book
He's a good
is-
author.
He is. He's
What is it
great.
called again?
And Return of the Gods.
Okay.
And it explains about Tammuz, Baal, all the gods that people served before Jesus came along. That's why Jesus came and did away with those gods. But now that we've turned our backs on God, we don't want him in school. We don't want him in our universities. Some churches don't want him. You can say God all you want to, but if you say Jesus, which is who God is, then oh no, we can't talk about Jesus. But you can talk about a God or whoever your God is.
Mm-hmm.
But it really tells you why those people cut their body parts off to transform themselves into what this God wants them to be. So it's demonic. And to say this is mental illness, I know y'all say the word freak out, but it's disturbing to say that this is mental illness when it's demonic. It's time for the church to stand up and show these people, look, you're serving a God that's wanting you to cut your body parts off. So if you go and read this book, or you go back in the Bible, it tells you what they were doing back then. Mm-hmm. And we're in Sodom and Gomorrah, whether people want to realize that or not. But I just encourage your listeners, please read that book and read with your Bible, and it tells you history repeats itself, and we're in a repeat right now of people cutting God out. You know, we cut all of it, tore down all the monuments and erected all these other things. So you're going to serve another God? Jesus says, I'm a jealous God, and he's not going to have anybody but him.
Thank you, Martha, I appreciate your phone call.
He wants our whole heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he wants our whole heart.
Thank you, Martha. I appreciate it today. Thank you for calling with your freak out. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. I will say this. Now, if you want to go down that spiritual road, if you will, I will say this. You know, in the Bible, if you believe the Bible to be true, and please understand, I asked the question, if you believe, or made the statement, if you believe the Bible to be true. I'm not saying I don't believe the Bible is not true. Please do not misunderstand. But if you believe the Bible to be true, there were instances in the Bible of demon possession, right? But most people thought they were mentally ill. They were nuts. They were crazy. And there was no help for them at all. It was only Jesus that was able to heal them, and then later on the disciples, because they were able to cast out demons. I certainly believe, if you want to go down that spiritual road, I certainly believe that there is this demonic spirit that's not only been sweeping our country, but sweeping our world, that is making things crazy. They're upside down from the normal. I've talked about that before. It feels like we're in the upside down, where right is wrong and wrong is right. It doesn't make any sense. And in some cases, it seems to be very much mental illness that is sweeping our country and certainly sweeping the world. So that's what I believe. But at some point, you know, people who may not believe like you and I do certainly have to look at some of the things that are happening in our world as severe mental illness and approach it that way. In my opinion. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Sean. Sean, what are you freaking out about on this Freak Out Friday?
Oh, I'm freaking out. I understand people. We get funny about when it comes to God's word. And appreciate a lot of things that you say. One thing I want to point out is that we have to be careful when we give our opinion and our suggestions, because God didn't ask anyone for their opinion. He didn't ask us what we think, but we have to believe what he says, and we have to believe it in its context. You know, I just want to say real quick that, you know, I used to work for a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I was a manager of a restaurant, and I still go to that restaurant here and there, but I don't work there anymore. And I believe I can cook better than every cook back there. I
Okay.
believe I can go and I can fix a mean burger. But you know what? I can't walk back there in the kitchen and do that. You know why? Because I haven't been given the authority to do it. I don't have the authority, even though I can do it better. I believe women can preach better, teach better than men. I mean, they can teach better. However, in the corporate church, they wasn't given the authority. And that's what the scripture's talking about. It's not saying they have to be silent and not. We have to understand that in this context. It's certain things that we haven't been given the authority to do.
Okay.
And so we have to, God hasn't given me the authority to do certain things and give permission for other people to do certain things. I have to just agree with God. So I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate you calling, and you are entitled to your opinion. Absolutely, Sean, and I'm glad that you're there, and I'm glad that you're listening. It is, let's see, we've got Dorothy, we've got Terry, we've got Doyle, we've got you at 615-737-9986 if you want to freak out on Freak Out Friday, but we got to take this little break here. So we will do that, and we'll get back to your calls on WTN, and we will at 10:05 talk about Riley Gaines and the testimony she gave before Congress this week that was very powerful, emotional, and powerful, that I think you need to hear if you haven't heard it yet. So stick around. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court is 8-1 in favor of, I'll tell you at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I actually was going to tell you right now, but I'll wait.
Thank you, Sister
Because
Pamela
I
Furr.
respect you, Ken Weaver, and you probably have a lot more details than I have right at this second. So we'll just wait for the news at 10 o'clock with Ken Weaver, and then we'll discuss it later on, because it is certainly interesting, to say the least. All right, 615-737-9986. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, it is Freak Out Friday. We've got, let's go with Dorothy, who's on the line. Hey, Dorothy, thank you for calling WTN and Freak Out Friday.
Hi. I heard something from a local host near where I'm at in Huntsville on the radio talking about a story. I don't know if I'd call it a story, but, our Navy, they're part of our defense. And it was said that, they have ways of detecting things. It was said that they knew about the implosion, that it was heard, and that it was put off because what was going on with Biden. Maybe Biden, it was his call, I guess, being president in chief, about what to do, and he was busy with him. And what was going on.
I'm hearing rumors of people saying that the commander
the Navy
in
did
chief.
find the ship.
I'm sorry.
The Navy did find the ship too later.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I'm hearing that they knew of the implosion, and right away when it happened, they had heard it, and that there's now some speculation as to what the reaction was after the Navy actually heard that. So they're saying that Joe Biden decided not to send help or to. I don't know what you're saying that you heard another host in Huntsville say.
I'm not exactly sure how to understand if I would assume he would have had something to do with it. He would have been alerted. Maybe it would have been his call. Maybe he wouldn't be bothered with it because of what was going on with Hunter Biden. They were busy with that.
But, what could they have done?
But, the Navy, I don't know how, I guess whoever's call it was to spend the money to go out there with the ship to look and see what was happening. I mean, there were all
I think they sent and the U.S. did send resources out there, but I don't know what could have been done even after alerting. Hey, we did hear this implosion. Now, it could have kept us for 4 days hoping and praying they'd find somebody alive. We would have known a little sooner, perhaps, or would have looked at it, and maybe they did behind the scenes. We just don't know. But let me look that information up. You said a host. If it was a friend of mine, Dale Jackson, talking about that, I'll send him a text here just now and ask him to send me the information that he had. Thank you, Dorothy, for your telephone call. Either way, the whole situation with that vessel there imploding is enough to make me freak out. That is for sure. Terry and Doyle, if you can hang on through the break, we'll take your calls coming up on Freak Out Friday. We're going to talk about Riley Gaines coming up, and we will talk about the Supreme Court decision that just came down that Ken Weaver's going to tell you about. It's all straight ahead after the news at 11:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. At 10:05.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Details on the next best threat of severe weather coming up during the full forecast in 2 minutes. An immigration ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court this morning.
The Biden administration issued new guidelines when it comes to deportation, prioritizing removing non-citizens who are suspected terrorists or dangerous criminals and giving Border Patrol agents more discretion. The policy was put on hold after Texas and Louisiana sued, arguing the policy would increase the number of non-citizens in their states. A judge ruled in their favor. But now the Supreme Court has ruled 8-1 in favor of the Biden administration, with Justice Brett Kavanaugh delivering the court's opinion.
That's Lindsay Watts reporting from Washington. U.S. officials say there was a catastrophic implosion that destroyed the Titanic-bound sub, killing all 5 people aboard. Robert Ballard's an oceanographer, Navy officer who these days directs an ocean research center and spoke with ABC News.
I don't think people can appreciate the amazing energy involved in the destructive process of an implosion. I've explored the Thresher and the Scorpion, which were two U.S. submarines. In the case of the Scorpion, ended up at a similar depth, and it just takes and literally shreds everything. So it's extremely powerful.
Underwater drones still at the site to gather information. And a new energy drink popular with teenagers called Prime, raising concerns with health experts. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
The drink, wildly popular among kids, comes in two forms, energy and hydration. But it's the energy version that has experts concerned for younger consumers. A 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola has 34 milligrams of caffeine. Compare that to an 8.4-ounce can of Red Bull, which has 80 milligrams, while a 12-ounce can of Prime Energy contains 200 milligrams of caffeine.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It is 10:05. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to be with you today. You know what today is? It is Freak Out Friday. Oh, yeah. Freak Out. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. We open up the phone lines for you on Fridays. I stole this idea. I want to give credit where credit is due. I like to do that, right?
Of course.
So I stole this idea from Des Dickerson.
Des.
We love Des Dickerson here.
He's the man.
And so I'm using the word stole. That implies something nefarious. I borrowed this idea. It was his brilliant idea.
Really good idea.
Yeah. And so I thought, man, I'm going to run with that since I'm on today on a Friday. And so I'm sure when he is on a Friday, and I'm sure he will be, he will use it again. It's his. It's all his idea, not mine. And I love it. And so we do that now when I'm on Fridays. Anything you want to freak out about, you can do that here. It is a safe space here with Sister Pamela. 615-737-9986. Now, I want to go back. I mean, they tell you not to go back on something when you're on the radio, but I'm going to go back to something. A caller who called to freak out about what happened with the submersible, the Titanic-bound submersible. There is news now that the Navy detected some sort of imploding signature. They are calling it different sounds, acoustic sounds that they detected. Actually, on Sunday, the news is coming out that is the case. And so she mentioned that someone had said on another show in another market that it was Joe Biden, perhaps, who didn't want that information shared with the public to maybe distract from what's going on with Hunter. Now, that I don't know if that is someone else's opinion or what have you, but I wanted to make sure that I brought you the correct information here. All 5 people, as you know, were killed, and the U.S. Coast Guard said during their news conference yesterday that the tail cone and other debris from the missing submersible were found by a remotely operated vehicle 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic. The debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. This is, again, from the press conference. But a senior Navy official is now saying that the Navy, detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion on Sunday in the general area where the vessel was diving and lost communication with its mothership. Well, the Navy says that they immediately relayed that information to on-scene commanders leading the search effort. So I want to make sure that's clear. Joe Biden didn't have anything to do with this, from what I'm seeing, okay? The information was relayed to those who were leading the search effort, and it was used to narrow down the area of the search, but the sound of the implosion was determined to not be definitive at that moment. So that's why they didn't release the information to the public that this ship could have imploded, because it wasn't definitive. That's what they're saying. I don't have any reason to not believe this. I mean, I know that we more and more become very jaded when it comes to information that comes from government agencies and what have you. I'm a firm believer in our military agents, so I don't think the U.S. Coast Guard or the Navy or any of these folks searching and trying to rescue the people on this vessel would have any nefarious reason to keep that information about the signature, the acoustic signature picked up by the Navy, to keep that from us if they believed that it could very well have been, on Sunday, the vessel. So that's just my opinion. There are those that doubt information coming from anybody that has anything to do with the government, and I get that too. I do. But I don't see any reason why you wouldn't believe this. Minutes before the U.S. Coast Guard's news conference, the actual company, Ocean Gate Expeditions, tweeted a statement saying that we now believe that all 5 have sadly been lost. So that's the information there. I do want to mention and talk about Riley Gaines as she appeared before a Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. She was slamming the president of a far-left human rights campaign for denying the biological advantages of male athletes. Kelly Robinson, who describes herself as the first queer black president of the Human Rights Campaign, claimed that tennis legend, you know what, I'm going to play the audio for you coming up here in just a moment from that session before this Senate committee. And you'll be able to hear for yourself not only what Riley Gaines had to say, but what Kelly Robinson also said at that same testimony, that same hearing. And again, she is the, quote, first queer Black president of the Human Rights Campaign. But first, it is Freak Out Friday. Freak Out Friday. All right,
That freaked me out. I'm sorry.
Who were you tweeting? What were you doing? All right, 615-737-9986. Let's go to Doyle on the line. Thank you, Doyle, for calling. I appreciate you holding on as long as you have. What is up? What are you freaking out about today?
Well, I'm freaking out about the USDA giving approval to Good Meat, the division of Just Eat, and Upside Foods being able to grow chicken from animal cells and them putting it in our food or accidentally putting it in my chicken Alfredo at a restaurant and me not knowing about it.
Well, now, so can they do that without you knowing about it? I would think they would have to fully disclose that this is real chicken and this is fake chicken. I would hope they would.
Well, it doesn't say it's not real chicken. It just says it's being grown from animal cells. It doesn't say it's not real chicken. It's just not grown in a farm. This is directly from NPR.org. So
now you're going to have me up at night wondering if my chicken Alfredo
this is Freak Out Friday, so I'm freaking out about having a chicken salad and not being real chicken on the salad.
Doyle has a point. He did tell you. You told him to freak out. He's freaking out.
He is freaking out. Foghorn Leghorn may not be truly a real chicken in your salad.
And I mean, it's got approval. So I mean, USDA has approved it. That means it is happening.
Well, I would think, all right, maybe we need to call our legislators to say, make sure they disclose. I would think you'd have to disclose it. You know, just like you disclose.
I think if you
go ahead.
I think maybe if you bought it at a grocery store, you'd have a label. But if you go to a restaurant, unless it's hidden somewhere down in small print on the bottom of the menu, you wouldn't know it. Well, I am freaking out about it because I do like chicken.
Why are you doing this to me, Doyle? I didn't even think about that. All right, now I'm freaking out. Thank you, Doyle, for giving me that nightmare the next time I go to my favorite restaurant.
I can't find anything about it in restaurants, but like you said, when you find it at stores, it will be labeled as, quote, sell cultivated chicken.
That doesn't even sound appealing, does it? That just sounds so gross. I don't. Bleh.
Does no part of you though want to see what it tastes like? One little part of you?
I could try it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I could eat. You know, I mean, I would try. I've tried, you know, the no meat or the meatless meat. You know, I've tried those things. They're all right. You know, in my opinion, when you're talking about, and this, I'm learning this, right, as I completely redo my habits, eating habits and whatever. 40 pounds off, by the way. Thank you. All right. And so, I mean, I've been eating clean. I'll just throw it out. I'm eating clean these days, right? So labels are important to me. And I would think that if you're doing anything that has anything that's chemically altered, that's got to be bad. I would think bad for your body. I think your body would react to that. That might be what happened to me yesterday. I don't know. Maybe something that has been chemically altered got into my food. I don't know. But it just seems like your body wouldn't react well to something because your body reacts to chemicals, whether it's hormones, whether it's, you know, your meat is grass-fed, grain-fed, you know, everything tastes different. You know, I will tell you, and I know I've said this before, I took a trip to Ireland, and all of their food in Ireland is all organic. The government requires it all to be organic. And so everything tasted better to me and tasted more vibrant and, It just tasted good, and my body did this. Oh, when I was able to eat everything that was organic. I just wish things in America weren't so expensive if it's organic, But regardless, I would think that if restaurants started using products that were chemically altered like that, grown in a petri dish chicken, that they would have to put it on their menu that way. I would think. And if they're not required to do that, I believe that our legislators like Andy Ogles and Scott DesJarlais and Mark Green and Tim Burchett and others, let's pass some legislation so that it's required that you have to label it that way, even in restaurants if you're using it. I would think it would be already there, though. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Joy, who's on the line. Hey, Joy.
Hey, I just have 2 words about the chicken. Soylent Green.
Wait, what? Soylent Green?
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, Soylent Green is people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. Look that up, Mac. Soylent Green is people. All right. Here, real quick. Riley Gaines testified on Wednesday about competing against a biological male who had just won the national title in the 500 freestyle in the women's division there in swimming. So here's what she had to say before Congress.
Previously, Thomas had been ranked 462nd at best in the men's division the year prior. The next day, I raced Thomas in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. Having only one trophy, the NCAA handed it to Thomas and told me I had to go home empty-handed. And when I asked why, which was a question they were not prepared to be asked, I actually appreciate their honesty because they said, Thomas, it was crucial. Thomas had it for picture purposes. Thomas had to have it for the pictures. I felt betrayed. I felt belittled. I felt reduced to a photo op. But my feelings didn't matter. What mattered to the NCAA were the feelings of a biological male.
See, that freaks me out. It's wrong. You're telling female athletes who are, when you're at the Riley Gaines level, right? You're an elite athlete, and that takes significant work to get to that level. And she was dismissed because the NCAA wanted to be woke. They wanted to check the box to show that they're diverse and they're respecting the LGBTQ community. And she was yet another moment in history where a female is dismissed. That freaks me out and ticks me off. 615-737-9986. David, what's your freak out about?
How you doing, Pamela?
Hey, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right. My freak out is about the chicken. They're playing God. And my feeling is on that, if you eat the chicken, you're okay with them playing God, therefore you are complicit to it.
You're complicit to them playing God.
If you eat the chicken, you're okay with them doing it, so you're complicit to it.
All right. Okay, I see what you're saying, David. Thank you for your call. Let me respond by saying this, and I'll probably get in trouble because we're talking about God again, right? So here's a dilemma, right, that I have. I don't think it's a moral dilemma. It's just a dilemma. Because I also believe that God has given this amazing thing we call a brain, right? And I don't believe that any of us have tapped into the true capacity of what our brain can do, right? But we continue to do this every day. And so you have psychiatrists, psychologists, you have physicists, you have scientists, you have medical doctors, you have all of these people that come together and they're able to develop the technology that they have to do good things in this world, right? So you could say And they probably did 100 years ago, or when they were able to develop penicillin that saved a lot of lives. Well, they're playing God. I don't think they're playing God. They're using what God has given them to help humanity. Now, does it help humanity by creating a chicken in a petri dish? I'm not sure how, unless they're looking ahead at predictions or prophecy, if you want to get spiritual prophecies. And there's the possibility of famine in the land, where chickens get diseases and you have to then put all the chickens down, bird flu or what have you. They've developed a way that humans can still eat. Maybe they're looking at it that way so that famine won't then kill 100,000 people somewhere in the world. So does that mean they're playing God, or does that mean they're using their God-given brain to help humans? You know what? You have to, I don't know, you have to figure out what the motivation here is. Or is it pure capitalism where, they're just wanting to put farmers out of business and just one group of people want to be able to sell chickens? I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can look at it. But if you certainly believe that it's someone trying to play God, therefore you won't eat it, that is your right. And I would certainly respect that. But I don't know. You have to ask.
Got a crash downtown. It is affecting the right lane of 40 eastbound right after I-24. And the Supreme Court, an 8-1 ruling today. We'll tell you what it impacts and who wins at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Ken Weaver. It is 10:26. Glad to have you on board today. Boy, people are freaking out about chickens in a Petri dish. This is a big deal to a lot of people. I haven't really thought much about it. All right, here's my next question. So are you growing the chicken? I guess I should read up on this, huh? If you're growing the chicken in a Petri dish, are you growing a live chicken or are you just growing blobs of meat? Because if you're growing live chickens, then can they reproduce, can they have the eggs and all of that? Or are we just talking blobs of meat? Now, I'm getting some people that are saying, this is all about getting rid of methane gas, and it's the woke crowd that wants to do all of this. Maybe. But here's, I love technology. I love scientists who go into these fields. You have a lot of technology that is honestly contributed to humanity. You've got doctors and scientists growing body parts in a Petri dish so that you can have a liver transplant. You don't have to wait on somebody to die. You could have whatever. They replace cancer cells with newly grown cells. There's all kinds of technology. I have a dear friend. I don't know if he's in town right now or not, but dear friend who has a disease. It's called Huntington's disease. And part of the research that they've done on Huntington's is growing cells in a Petri dish, and they hope to one day be able to replace the bad cells that cause Huntington's disease with these new cells that they could possibly create. So what is wrong with that? You're looking at trying to save lives here. So are you playing God? Or, again, I ask the question, are you using the ability and the brain that God gave you to its fullest potential? Then you have the question of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can absolutely be used for good. But what keeps me up at night, this technology and people using their brains, the God-given gift of their brains, to create technology that could be the death of humanity. So where is that perfect balance between the good and the bad? That's what freaks me out here. And the idea that I might roll into a McDonald's to get a McChicken and it might be a McPetri dish chicken, that's enough to freak me out too. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Lance on the line. Hi, Lance.
Hello.
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 Hello. Are you there?
I am. What's your comment?
I was calling about the chicken. Well, first of all, congratulations on your weight loss.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And my deal with it is I don't want to eat something that's a glob of meat grown in a petri dish. I mean,
I know it sounds so gross, doesn't it? Ooh.
Yes, and if you believe in God, then man was made from the dust of the ground, and everything comes from the ground. So, if that element of everything is taken out, then I think we're going to have some issues with that.
Well, was the chicken made from the ground, or did the chicken just appear? And what came first? Was it the egg or was it the chicken?
Well, I don't know about the very beginning, but I do know now that chickens eat things off the ground,
yeah.
which they metabolize through their system, which we eat. So there's that relationship between all of that. I think that's healthy for human beings.
Not even with barbecue sauce does a chicken coming from a Petri dish sound appealing at all.
It does not. It does not sound appetizing at all.
Now,
I'm surprised they approved it.
Well, if they're using cells from a chicken, though, Like if it's not artificially created cells, but it's actually coming from, cells from a chicken, would that make any difference to you?
Well, your comment a while ago about your question was whether it was a glob of meat or if it was actually like a developed chicken.
Right.
They're doing it with sheep and stuff like that. They're cloning sheep.
Right.
I might be okay with that, maybe. I don't know. But
I don't know.
Like you said, the thought of a glob of meat just developing in a dish, and then they put it in some type of machinery that grows it, makes it bigger. I don't know. That's like you said.
I'd rather, of course, then again, we eat a lot of chicken that has a lot of hormones and steroids and that kind of thing in it anyway. How can that be any better? All right, Lance, thank you for what? Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. It is 10:31. It is time for news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. In 2 minutes, we'll tell you about the latest threat of severe weather. And yes, it is this weekend. We'll tell you when during the full forecast in 2 minutes. Supreme Court, in an 8-1 ruling today, dismissed a challenge from Texas and Louisiana state attorneys general who argued Biden administration immigration policies conflict with immigration law. The court said the states did not have the standing or the legal right to sue in the first place. Former Vice President Mike Pence today, the first to speak this morning at the Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to Majority Conference in D.C., calling on every Republican presidential candidate to commit to supporting a 15-week abortion ban nationwide.
Democrats support abortion on demand all the way up to the moment of birth and taxpayer funding of abortion, and they need to be held to account.
Here in Nashville, the FBI is lab testing the white powder in envelopes mailed to Republican state lawmakers' offices yesterday. Reports say they were signed "Your Secret Despiser." That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 10:37. I'm Pamela Furr. Glad to have you on board today. Yes, I am better. Thank you for asking. Yesterday was a little rough around this time. And we'll just leave it at that.
You were making some noise right around this time.
I was making lots of noise around this time. Yes, indeed. All right. So it is what we like to call around these parts Freak Out Friday. (615-737-9986) is the phone number. What is on your mind? What are you freaking out about right now? I have a freak out, a real quick one that just happened. Now, I'm wearing, you can't see me unless you're watching on Super Talk TV. I'm wearing some glasses today that I love, and they came from Peepers. I'm a Peepers girl. It is a company that sells glasses, whether it's progressive lenses, blue light blockers, sunglasses, a men's line, a women's line. I love Peepers. And somehow or another, it came up in conversation between Mac and I I don't know, a half an hour ago or so, something like that. And I said, man, you ought to check them out because they're really cool, and the prices are pretty interesting. And again, they have a men's line. Not even 30 minutes later, I get a text message from Peepers. My phone is listening to me. How did this, not even an ad, a text message. Now, they have my number because I've got several pairs of Peeper glasses. But
right after we talked about it?
I'm freaking out about this. We're being watched. We're being listened to. Your phone is listening. Your Alexa is listening. Your Ring camera is watching and listening. Your TV is watching. And be careful what you do in front of your TV, Matt.
Oh, no.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. One more thing. So we're talking about, and I think this is what a lot of people are freaking out about. The phone lines are full, but try to get your call in if you'd like. 615-737-9986. You can also super text. But here's the information, all right? As expected, the USDA, and this was a story that was released, well, actually today, the USDA has followed Singapore by approving for the United States the growth by two companies of animal cells into chicken products that one day might be sold to customers. The USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service is granting inspections to two companies. It also issued instructions to its inspection program personnel, or its IP, about their roles and responsibilities with regard to inspection and verification activities in establishments that harvest or process so-called cell-cultured meat or poultry food products for human food. And I can go over the boring parts here if you want, but as for now, the USDA is allowing two companies from California. They're called Upside Foods and Good Meat. I'm familiar with Good Meat Company, but they are pursuing, they are going to allow these companies to pursue in laboratory settings the growth of meat from animal cells. Animal cell culture technology for lab-grown meat and poultry is a production process used to produce meat and poultry food products without slaughter activity. Actually, it says not much slaughter activity by growing the cells of livestock or poultry in a controlled environment, such as a bioreactor, and then harvesting those cells to grow food. It is unlikely that it's going to be showing up in a grocery store or a Chick-fil-A anytime soon. And you're probably going to perhaps see it in maybe upscale restaurants long before you're going to see it in your grocery store or your Chick-fil-A. But I'm seeing nothing in any of this information that you're going to be required to show on the menu that this is a lab-grown chicken. You know, maybe it'll just name the company, chicken from Good Foods,
Food, yeah, and you'll know.
And then or hopefully you'll know.
I would, hopefully.
If my mother were, she wouldn't know.
No, of course, you'd be like, okay, good
Grandpa,
food.
good food,
Good
good
meat,
chicken.
sweet,
Yeah,
I'm in.
exactly. Anyway, 615-7. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I see this sentence too. Outside the United States, only Singapore has cleared the
correct,
sale. Yeah,
correct.
Interesting.
That is correct. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Jason, who's on the line. Now, Jason, it's my understanding you've kind of worked in this industry. Do I have that right?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been a meat cutter. This 4th of July will be my 34th year. I work at Costco, and not only if they do this, they start growing beef and pork and chicken, it would devastate our industry, and it also would devastate cosmetics because all the byproducts that we get from our roast and steaks, a company comes and picks it up every Monday, and they all the fat basically, and they use it for soap, dog food, makeup, all kinds of different stuff. So it would devastate a lot of jobs and other industries.
Well, don't you use fat from like beef products even in pork when you make sausage? You have to use the fat products to make sausage.
That. Yeah, we don't do that, but yes, you do make as many things as you can with it. But like I'm saying, it would devastate a lot of other industries if they did do this.
Yeah, because you're not I would think the beef that you grow and the chicken that you grow wouldn't have any fat.
No, exactly. It would be all processed.
All right, Jason. Well, I hadn't even thought about it from that aspect. I only thought about it from a farmer's aspect of the whole thing.
So it would devastate them too as well.
Yeah. All right, Jason. Well, thank you. And if you can get me a Costco card, I'd appreciate it. I'm teasing. I'm joking. Have a good day, Jason. I appreciate it. All right. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Brian. Brian, are you freaking out?
No, not really. Just thinking about this whole fake meat thing, and it reminds me of a bunch of different technologies we've had that seem scary. Like back in the late 90s, there was cloning. Till everybody freaked out about it.
Yeah.
But I'm only going to be worried when it affects what I get at the grocery store. I mean, right now they've got the, Beyond Meat at the grocery stores. It doesn't bother me. I don't care.
You just don't eat it.
Still get my hamburger.
Right.
Exactly.
But what if you can't? I guess maybe, I don't know that the technology is so far along that it's going to devastate the industry while we're still, I don't know how old you are, but you're probably.
I don't see it at all.
Yeah, at least not in our lifetime. Maybe in the next lifetime.
I mean, you're talking about a giant laboratory that's just constantly growing the fake meat. I mean, I don't see it being cost effective for a long time.
All right. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the phone call. So Brian is not freaking out on Freak Out Friday, 615-737-9986. We've got Mr. Higgins. Mr. Higgins is on the line. Are you freaking out about chicken?
I heard you talk earlier about you thought you'd hate to see them coming in your chicken nuggets at McDonald's. I just thought I'd let you know. I mean, they've been making the McRib out of this for years.
Wait, the McRib is out of meat that's been created in a Petri dish?
I mean, what do you think they make that thing out of?
I think they make, now I don't know this, I think they make some of the products at fast food restaurants, I'm not going to say which ones, that sometimes it's a combination of all the body parts left in an animal that nobody normally eats. That's what I think.
Yeah, like the original hot dog.
Ugh. Just the thought. Okay, I'm going to have to change the subject because I'm feeling a little queasy, and we know what happens when Pamela feels queasy.
Oh, no.
At least we can get beef hot dogs nowadays. But I just figured, I mean, that for years I've always wondered what they made that thing out of. And, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they, threw that out to the public to test it out.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Higgins. I appreciate your phone call. Let's go to 615-737-9986 on Freak Out Friday. Kenneth is on the line who has a comment about Riley Gaines. I appreciate your call, Kenneth. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, this person that got the trophy from Riley, why doesn't she just give it back?
Why would she give it back? What you're talking about the transgender
Integrity, fair play, sportsmanship.
So why? I don't know that someone who is a transgender is thinking about sportsmanship.
I know, but that would as far as pride, that would make me proud of her.
Well, you really would that person, the transgender, would certainly gain some respect if the transgendered person said, "You know what? I didn't mean to cause all this controversy. If you don't believe that I earned this the right way because I'm a man competing in a women's sport, then here's the trophy back." I would respect that. I would think that would be an honorable thing to do, but these transgenders believe that they are women. Whether they're fooling themselves or whether they really, 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 truly believe that, even still owning their man parts. And in fact, Riley had some testimony that she gave that was very, very emotional that I will play for you when she talked about having to go to a locker room with a transgender athlete. And in locker rooms, as we all know, we've all experienced the locker rooms, whether it was in school, elementary, high school sports, or what have you, gym class, on to whether you played college sports. The locker room is not the most private area at all, but at least if you're in the women's locker room, you're with women, or at least supposed to be. And if you're in the men's locker room, you're with men, at least you're supposed to be. What do you do when a man who thinks they're a woman, who is trying to compete in women's sports, is in a female locker room, showering, dressing, walking around, and their private parts are exposed to everyone? I've seen a story of a women's locker room. The women there horrified. This is going to be an adult statement, so please understand it's an adult statement what I'm about to make. I'm uncomfortable even saying it. They were horrified when a transgendered female, which means they're male, biologically male, was in the locker room being biological. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They were walking around naked, and he had a reaction physically to seeing other women naked. That's about as clean as I can make it without being too explicit. Horrified. But he felt like, or he had a right to be there. Boy, do I disagree with that one. So I'm going to play some of Riley Gaines' testimony, very emotional, about something very similar that happened to the ladies that were in her locker room. That's coming up on this Freak Out Friday. Brian, Phil, John, Larry, David, please all hang on as we get to your calls on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 615-737-9986. You can call or you can super text as well on Freak Out Friday on WTN.
The U.S. Supreme Court decision is 8-1 on a Republican-led challenge to a Biden immigration policy. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Ken Weaver. It is about 2 minutes until 11 o'clock. I promised you I would play emotional testimony from Riley Gaines. She spoke before a Senate committee on Wednesday, and I want to make sure that you have heard this as she describes what happened to her and other female athletes when they were forced to, I'm going to say perform, but you know what I mean, and be in a locker room with a transgender athlete. Here you go, just real quick before the news at 11 o'clock.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Riley Gaines, and I'm an advisor for Independent Women's Voice. I recently graduated from the University of Kentucky, where I was a member of the UK's women's swim and dive team. I proudly finished my career as a 12-time NCAA All-American, a 5-time SEC champion, the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time, a 2-time Olympic trial qualifier, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, and SEC Community Service Leader of the Year. But all of that to say that it's a lifelong journey competing at that level, and it's impossible to put into words the amount of sacrifice and dedication that it takes. On March 17th of 2022, my teammates and I, as well as female swimmers from universities around the country, were forced to compete against biological male Leah Thomas. Thomas was allowed to compete in the women's division after competing as a member of the University of Pennsylvania's men's swim team for 3 years as Will Thomas. We watched on the side of the pool as Thomas swam to a national title in the 500 freestyle, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female swimmers in the country, including many Olympians and American record holders, by body lengths. Previously, Thomas had been ranked 462nd at best in the men's division the year prior. The next day, I raced Thomas in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. Having only one trophy, the NCAA handed it to Thomas and told me I had to go home empty-handed. And when I asked why, which was a question they were not prepared to be asked, I actually appreciate their honesty because they said, Thomas, it was crucial Thomas had it for picture purposes. Thomas had to have it for the pictures. I felt betrayed. I felt belittled. I felt reduced to a photo op. But my feelings didn't matter. What mattered to the NCAA were the feelings of a biological male. In 1972, Congress enacted Title IX to end unjust sex discrimination in all aspects of education, including college athletics. But by allowing Thomas to displace female athletes in the pool and on the podium, the NCAA intentionally and explicitly discriminated on the basis of sex. Although the NCAA claimed it acted in the name of inclusion, its policies in fact excluded female athletes, which are the very female athletes whom Title IX was passed to protect. But that is not all. In addition to being forced to give up our awards and our titles and our opportunities, the NCAA forced me and my female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male equipped with and exposing male genitalia. Let me be clear about this. We were not forewarned we would be sharing a locker room. No one asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent. And I'll set the scene. A swimming locker room is not a place of modesty. You're undressing, you're fully exposed, and we were forced to take off our swimsuit in front of a man who was doing the exact same thing. If nothing else, I truly hope how you can see this as a violation of our right to privacy and how some of us have felt uncomfortable, embarrassed, and even traumatized by this experience.
That is Riley Gaines testifying before Congress this week, and I feel for her and other women who have to be exposed to this simply because of woke organizations. It's wrong, y'all. It's wrong. It's Freak Out Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More to come after the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We'll tell you about the risk of severe weather coming up in 2 minutes with the forecast. Immigration ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court today. The 8-1 decision rejects a Republican-led challenge to Biden administration immigration policies. Justice Brett Kavanaugh writing the executive branch has no other option because there's not enough money or manpower to deport all 11 million people or so who are in the United States illegally. Instead, the Biden policy prioritizes the deportation of immigrants who are deemed the greatest risk to public safety or who were picked up at the border. Louisiana and Texas had argued every illegal immigrant needs to go, which is federal immigration law. Election 2024, former Vice President Mike Pence today, the first candidate to speak this morning at the Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to Majority Conference in D.C.
I'll always be grateful for what President Donald Trump did for this country. And it was a privilege to serve at his side. The President and I have had our differences, and we have them still, but elections are about the future. And I believe different times call for different leadership.
Other Republican candidates set to speak at the Faith and Freedom Coalition Conference include Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Tim Scott, and Vivek Ramaswamy. A new energy drink popular with teenagers called Prime, raising concerns with health experts who warn parents the caffeinated beverage might not be healthy for kids. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Prime Energy is the new drink from YouTube sensation Logan Paul. The drink has more than 339 million video views, but it also has more caffeine than you'd find in a couple of cups of coffee. And some doctors are concerned.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Good morning. It is 11:06. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you on board today. 615-737-9986. That is our phone number. You can also super text us there as well. On this finally Friday, you know what else we call it round these parts? We call it Freak Out Friday. All right. Now, I said this earlier. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This was Des Dickerson's idea, and I completely shanked it. No, that's not the word. Stole it. I don't know what the word is.
You
borrowed
saw
it.
a great idea, and you were like, I'm gonna use that as well.
But I am in the news biz, and I like to attribute.
Of course. Yes.
You know, so attribution is very important, and so I am giving him all attribution. But there's a rumor. Do we know? I can't say anything yet, can I? Because we don't really know for sure.
We really don't know.
All right. There was a rumor he might be coming in because Matt Murphy is not going to be here today. He's not here. Did he tell where he was going? So I think he's heading out. I think he's in Alabama.
I think so.
At least today. Because I do know this because and he's playing golf today with that attorney friend of his that I have a big old crush on. Yes. So anyway, not
FriYAY.
that I would have any reason of knowing that, but at any rate, we don't know who is filling in for him. I thought I had my suspicions, but there's also a rumor that it might be dead. So who knows? Well, when I find out, I will let you know. But right now, it's Freak Out Friday. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. What is freaking you out today? Because there are all kinds of things going on in the world. All kinds of things that could keep you up at night. What is it? It's a safe zone right here. Tell Sister Pamela what is on your mind. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Pamela.
I recognize that voice every time. You don't even have to say your name.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Of course it's a good thing.
Well, I'm freaking out because, per you, I was born in 1680, and I may be pregnant. So,
okay.
but on a serious note, I'm freaking out about this thing with Riley Gaines.
Mm-hmm.
Pamela, if I had I raised two stepdaughters, okay, that were not much younger than me because I got married early. My first wife was 14 years older. If I had a daughter and some dude, I don't care if he identifies as a giraffe, walked into their dressing room or came into their dressing room, he would stand a better chance than a giraffe with a broken leg and a 500-pound line right on his rear end.
Now, I figured you would take care of the gender reassignment surgery right there.
Believe me, and I have a backhoe, so where
to bury the body. All right, and I get it, and a lot of fathers feel the same way as you do, Larry. Absolutely.
I mean, Pamela, I know. Yes, I'm born in 1680 per you, but yes, I am old school, and there are some things that just does not need to be done. Anyway, honey, I love you. Have a great day. You've got a great show.
Thanks.
We'll see you every time.
All right. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. 615-737-9986. I got to be honest with you. I think we hit a nerve. I don't know if you're just tuning in or if you've been listening all morning, but someone brought up freaking out about chicken being made in a Petri dish, and that has set off a collective freak out in Middle Tennessee. In fact, David is on the line. David is one of them. Hey, David, welcome to Freak Out Friday.
Hello there. I'm a farmer, and thousands of our good farm acres are being eaten up every day for development. And I understand people got to live somewhere. But when I was growing up, if we had 100 acres, 100 bushel to the acre corn crop, we had a good crop. But today, that 100 bushel to the acre would not feed America, much less have an excess to sell to another country. If it were not for genetically modified seed, we could not feed America. People would go hungry. Like I said, when I was growing up, if we had a 35 bushel to the acre wheat crop, we thought we had a real crop. And now 35 bushel is just a drop in the bucket. Now we're able to make 95 to 100, 115 bushel to the acre, which means that we can feed America and have an excess to sell overseas. I'm not pushing the chicken in a petri dish. I'm not
I'm not blessing it, and I'm not cursing it. I'm a beef farmer. I don't care how they raise chicken. I'm not going to eat it.
You're all about the beef. Where's the beef?
I'm all about it's definitely out here in my field.
Well, but here's the thing. It sounds like what you're saying is, people shouldn't freak out because it could be good. There's always a bad side and a good side to things that are genetically engineered. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Got it.
People don't realize the amount of growth hormones that these chickens are being force fed in these chicken houses.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't die. That goes from into human consumption. And if you want to see what the benefit of that is, watch a chicken house being gathering up the chickens going to slaughter. There's always has to be a dumpster, Andy, for the dead chickens whose heart explodes because of the excitement.
I don't want to know anymore, David. I don't know. I'm done. Thank you. Have a good day. I appreciate the phone call today. 615-737-9986. That is now time for you, Tim. Are you freaking out today, Tim?
I am, Pamela.
What are you freaking out about?
Man, I frequent the VA. I'm a veteran, disabled veteran, and I went to Alvin C. York in Murfreesboro. What was it, Tuesday? Because, of course, they were closed on Monday for the new federal holiday. But when I pulled up and I saw the pride flag hanging on Alvin C. York's medical facility over there, it upset me. And I've blasted it, and most of my vet friends feel the exact same way.
Did you say anything when you went in? Did you ask about it at all? Or?
I absolutely did. No one could tell me who I needed to talk to, so I spent the next 30 minutes after leaving on hold talking to different people, and I finally talked to someone in public relations over there, and I was told that she completely understands and all this and all that, but that is not the place for that flag.
Right.
I was also informed that it's also being displayed at the Nashville VA. So, from my understanding, it was left to the discretion of the directors of the facilities whether to fly the flag or not. My suggestion was simply, look, man, poll your employees, poll the veterans that you serve, because you're going to find out that bowing to the 1% is just, I'm over it.
Right. Wow. All right. Thank you, Tim. I did not know that, but that's good information right there. Thank you, Tim, and thank you for your service to our country.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. 615-737-9986 as we continue on this Freak Out Friday. Fred is on the line. Fred, are you freaking out today?
Yes, ma'am. Just to speak briefly.
Yeah.
I'm a truck driver, and about this fake chicken crap.
Yeah.
If y'all knew what were in some of the meat products that you purchase, you would literally be freaking out, like Slim Jim and Taco Bell and other fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
I've hauled numerous meat that says right on it, not for human consumption, and I've taken it straight to places that manufacture it for fast food companies. So I just wanted to let y'all know that.
Well, you just freaked me out, Fred.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Blech. Blech.
I love Taco Bell. Dang it, Fred.
Well, I mean, and you've also now had potted meat.
Yeah, at this point, I'm invincible. I'm good. I'm good to go.
I mean, look, the truth of the matter is we all put our lives in the hands of the government, right, at this point. The truth of the matter is, we do our best, and we've gotten along this far. We're still here. We're still alive. I do encourage you, though. I mean, this is again, this is my new way of living. So now I'm like I've been transformed. So I want to witness. I want to witness to everybody. Clean eating is a better way to go. I am learning that. Clean eating. You try if you can to eat fresh meat that hasn't been exposed to chemicals and that sort of thing, and eat your vegetables and eat lots of them, and visit your farmers markets and visit your local farms, or go to meat or butchers, that sort of thing, meat shops. Is that what you call them? Do you call them meat shops?
Butcher shop?
Butcher shops, local, because we have so many farms around here that, kill their own cattle and, beef and that sort of thing, and poultry and dairy farms around here that you can buy local, and it can all be fresh kind of stuff. I have learned that fresh eggs are so delicious.
Yes.
Compared to store-bought eggs. That really is the truth from a farm. And I was always a little scared. I'm not going to lie. I was always a little scared of the fresh eggs for some reason. Maybe that's just the city girl in me. I don't know. But I was exposed to it. Some friends of mine down in Leaper's Fork have their own chickens. And so and they're producing all these eggs. So they're like, here's some eggs. Take a dozen, please.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
So incredible. And even the coloring is different and richer and wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so good. All right. Anyway, 615-737-9986. Who should I go to? Brian up here
Let's
at the top?
Let's go to Brian up there.
All right. He's been holding on for 47 minutes. Holy smokes, Brian. You got to be freaking out about that.
How you doing, Pamela?
I'm great. Thank you.
Well, genetic engineering's got its places. There's a lot of diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia. That's the only way those things are going to be cured.
Right.
And then you got instances where, like, say we go into space exploration, you have a lunar colony, or we finally make it to Mars. It's going to be too expensive to have animals there. And I could see, growing meat that way would save a lot of money, and you could feed people. But they don't have a long-term study on what it does to a human to eat this product. And that freaks me out.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you want to sign up for those studies, have at it. It's free country, free will. But I don't want to be forced to eat it.
Well, me neither, Pamela. And the other side of that is, like when COVID hit, by George, they were mandating everyone take that vaccine. And they were talking about putting it in the food. And this would be an easy way to put something in the food.
Now you got me freaking out, Brian. Oh, my gosh.
I'm telling you, it's Friday.
Another reason to just not sleep at night. Thank you very much, Brian, for your phone call. I appreciate it. 615-737-9986. I will say this, and then we're headed to a break here. Yes, that's enough to freak me out to think about the future with all of it. But I stay calm. Oh, you people who think I don't believe in the Bible are going to freak out. We have hope in Jesus. We do. There's no reason truly to freak out. The Bible says, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. Don't be troubled about it all. Be anxious for nothing, the Bible says. So I'm trying. I'm really, really trying. But all this chicken talk, it helped me. I'm teasing. 615-737-9986 is the phone number on Freak Out Friday. More of your calls, more of your freakouts coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A nearly unanimous decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. I'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That very seldom happens, Ken Weaver.
Yes, you're very correct, Sister Pamela Furr.
All right, and so I'm going to see you at the pool party, I guess, tomorrow?
I told you I'm doing cannonballs.
Cannonballs. And I'm going to play the theme song to the Cannonball Run as you do yours. Okay.
Either that or Godzilla's roar.
Or how about this?
Everybody, listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Silent Green is people.
All right. See, that's an old movie right there. And we're playing it because today is Freak Out Friday. And people are freaking out over this new 2 lab-grown chicken operations that are going to be producing Petri dish chicken. Should we call them Petri chickens? Why Petri chickens? Why not?
Chickens.
So that seems to be mostly what people are freaking out about, which is just interesting to me. I had no idea this would be the big freak out today. No clue.
Me either.
It's interesting how some things occur. And look, I said this earlier, and I think caller Brian said this a little earlier in our last segment. I firmly believe that God has given us a wonderful, wonderful thing called the brain. And as we continue to evolve, see, I do believe in creation, but I believe in evolution. I believe we as human beings continue to evolve. We learn more, we know more, we continue to tap more into our brains, and we're not tapping nearly enough of what we can actually accomplish for whatever reason. But those that are in the scientific community, I believe, continue to evolve and tap into things that will help humanity. A caller mentioned that because of these genetic type studies and animal cells and human cells and what have you, that eventually diseases that are killing us, diseases that we see slowly rip at the fabric of the people that we love, can be cured if we're allowed to continue to study in that realm. I shared a story, a very dear friend of mine. I'll just be honest with you, somebody that I absolutely 100% was madly crazy in love with has a disease called Huntington's disease. And I call it, it's kind of a cross between Parkinson's and Alzheimer's kind of thing. Sometimes they call it the dancing disease because you can't control, eventually you can't control your function, like your hand movements are just moving all the time, or your legs are just moving all the time. You end up, as the later stages of this disease take over, you can't sleep in your own bed because you fall out of your bed all the time. Eventually you can't swallow. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible disease. And so anyway, the studies that have been taking place because of cell studies, they're learning that perhaps really soon they can replace the gene or the thing, the chromosome or whatever it is that's missing in the brain. They could fix that and could possibly wipe out things like Huntington's disease and Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's and those kinds of studies. That's good when you're talking the genetic field. It's this other stuff that kind of freaks me out when you're talking about chicken grown in a lab as opposed to chicken meat occurring naturally by chickens growing on a chicken farm. But again, as you're looking at the future and humanity and starving populations, could this help with that? I mean, I don't know. But these are things I think we should all talk about and explore. But forcing me to eat it, that's another thing. And maybe replacing real chicken with lab-grown chicken and not letting anybody know, that freaks me out too. I don't think that could happen, but People are freaking out about it. So anyway, it is time for news, and we'll get back to your freak out comments on this Freak Out Friday. And it is my understanding, by the way, that Des Dickerson is actually filling in today at 12:05. So I'm going to have to face him and say, I stole it. I stole your bit because it was brilliant.
It is.
And thank you for your brilliance. And then, back out and bow my head because he's royalty. So I'll just, bow my head. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And leave. He is a wonderful individual, and you will enjoy Des Dickerson coming up at 12:05 in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top story, and just in time for lunch, there's a crash on 65 northbound. It is in Goodlettsville, and it is blocking the left lane. A near unanimous decision by the U.S. Supreme Court this morning allows the Biden administration to limit immigration deportations to those who pose the greatest public safety risk or who are caught at the border. Not all 11 million people believed to be in the U.S. illegally. Nashville Pride events getting underway. Channel 4's Ryan Breslin says organizers say they're thankful authorities are working to keep everyone safe.
This year comes with a threat made from a Kansas man towards an event at this year's Nashville Pride. The Department of Justice saying that a man on Facebook made a threat about making pressure cooker bombs for Pride and also threatened a mass shooting. One community advocate says he's confident both staff and attendees will be safe.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 11:37. I'm Pamela Furr. I'm glad that you're here today. I'm so glad it's Friday. I'm so glad that it's only 80 degrees outside, mostly sunny skies. It's going to get a little warmer over the weekend, but you know, for it to be summer, I like that pleasant temperature range right there. I could live with that. Now, we are going to continue with Freak Out Friday, but first, I want to talk to you about a picnic that's coming up in Nashville or in Davidson County. How's that? And with us right now on the line is our friend Lonnie Spivak. He is the chair of the Davidson County Republican Party. How you doing, Lonnie?
I'm doing good, Pamela. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. So you've got a picnic coming up that you want Republicans in Davidson County to know about.
Yeah, we are bringing back the Davidson County Annual Summer Picnic, and we have it scheduled for July 15th. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Edwin Warner Park, Shelter 6. We are going to have a couple of straw polls for the mayor's race and an early presidential poll.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have entertainment from the guys over at Based Records with Chris Wallen, who's written some hits for some of the industry's top country music artists.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have Rachel Holt and others performing. We'll have catering from Honey Fire Barbecue and Kona Ice. And, it's just going to be a really great time. There'll be a lot of the Metro Council candidates who are friendly to our side there. There'll be several of the mayoral candidates there. And I will say that Governor DeSantis will be in town for the Statesman's Dinner, so maybe he'll even stop by.
You never know.
You never know. It's also going to be the same day as the Tennessee Statesman's Dinner,
Mm-hmm.
so there'll be Republicans in town from all across the state. You can purchase tickets for $10, and that includes the food and the straw polls and all the entertainment. And a family of four can come for $25. And you can learn more about it at gopnashville.org, gopnashville.org, and just click on the events tab, and you can purchase tickets right there.
Now, you said you're bringing it back. Is this something that hasn't happened in a very long time?
It hasn't happened at least in the last 6 or 7 years. In the recent past, we've done the picnic, but it's mainly been for volunteers and board members.
Mm-hmm.
But we really need to reconnect with the people of Nashville, so we decided to bring it back this year, and it'll be something, at least while I'm chairman, that we'll do all the time, just to get people re-involved in Nashville politics.
Yeah, because it's been a while. Honestly, most Republicans that live in Davidson County believe that theirs is a lost cause. And I personally believe that's incorrect. But you got to stay involved. And this is a good way to do it, to reconnect with your fellow Republicans in Davidson County and then reconnect with those who might be running for office.
Yeah, and really, I've been telling people I'm feeling this kind of undercurrent that I kind of felt back in the Tea Party days, and then before that when we had our income tax debate here in Tennessee. And you can just kind of feel that just under the surface, stuff is happening. I mean, we have Republicans running in the State House 50 election. We have a Republican running now in the State House 51 special election. We've got 2 Republicans running for mayor, in Natisha Brooks and Alice Rowley. There are 8 Republicans running for Metro Council. There's a lot happening here in town, and I really hope that if you've just moved here, that you'll consider coming to the picnic and learning about Tennessee politics and what's happening here in Nashville. And if you've been here for a while and just think, I didn't even know there was a Republican Party in Nashville, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Come on out and meet us, meet the team. It'll be really a great time from 10 to 2. If you just want to come and listen to the music and hang out with people and meet some candidates, there's not going to be any charge. But if you want to come and join enjoy some honey fire barbecue and participate in the straw polls and stuff. It's a $10 fee to help cover our expenses.
Got it. Give that website again, if you don't mind, before we let you go.
Sure, gopnashville.org.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Lonnie, and we hope to talk to you soon, and good luck with the picnic. I'll probably be out there.
Thanks, Pamela.
All right, you're welcome. All right, it is 11:42. We just have a few more minutes, but you know what this is, yes? Freak Out Friday. And by the way, I think I missed, there was a mayoral debate last night, and I think I completely missed that altogether. Did you miss it too, Mac? I mean,
Same.
I don't know how, because I've been keeping track of all of them. Maybe it was because I was a little sick yesterday, but that's not your
you
excuse.
have an excuse. No, I don't have an. I mean, I talked about it on Tuesday, and then I just completely blanked.
Just completely blanked on
Yeah.
it. So I hope a lot of people watched it and participated because this is an important race, the mayor's office here in Nashville. All right, so I'm freaking out at myself. So I'm going to go back on, it's News Channel 5, I think, that hosted it. So I'm going to go back maybe this weekend and
I think it was at Belmont.
Yeah, at Belmont University and catch some of that. 615-737-9986 is the telephone number. Let's go to Kent, who's been holding on the line. Kent, what are you freaking out about today on this Friday?
Well, I get up every day and listen to the news. I watch Newsmax, the only news channel I watch, and see the level of corruption that's in Washington, the media, the DOJ, the FBI, all of it, the level of corruption, and just the insanity that has gripped this country.
Absolutely.
And I believe it spells something that I hate to say, but I believe it every time, more and more every day, and that is the regime. It's not an administration; it's a regime that is in place right now. Is not the slightest bit worried about an election in 2024. I believe they have no intentions of ever leaving office again. Even if Trump wants to win by a landslide, they'll do everything they can to delegitimize it. They'll accuse us of doing everything that they themselves have done, and they would rather see this country in a civil war than give up power. And that is the handwriting on the wall.
And that's enough to freak out about, Kent. Thank you very much for your phone call. Here's the good news. I honestly, I really do believe this. I do. I believe come 2024, it'll be a Republican in the White House. I do. I think that we will win by a landslide. I think so. And the polls are showing if Donald Trump at this point is the candidate, the Republican candidate, Donald Trump's numbers are beginning to fall, and they're beginning to fall quite a bit. And so that is the good news if you believe polling. Real quick, I do want to address this. I don't want you to think that I don't know anything about this or hadn't heard the story, but one thing that is good today, and one thing that a story that is coming to the surface today is that IRS whistleblowers have revealed to the House Ways and Means Committee there's an alleged text message where Hunter Biden demanded payment from a Chinese business partner by invoking his father's name. Jason Smith, who's a Republican from Missouri, announced at a press conference that the two IRS employees who worked on the Biden probe since November 2018 claimed the agency initially recommended felony charges against the president's son, and the whistleblowers claimed the Department of Justice intervened and overstepped to delay the probe. So there's several things going on right there that is good news. I'm not freaking out about it. I'm happy that all of this is starting to come to the surface, and I hope that it will make a difference come 2024. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Billy on the line. Billy, what are you freaking out about today, sir?
Pamela, I'm a Furby.
You're a Furby! How about a Dollar Store Reba fan? Are you a Dollar Store Reba fan?
Well, I'm not quite that far gone yet.
Okay, fair enough. What are you freaking out about today, Billy?
Well, I wasn't freaked out until I heard my boy talking about the pride flag at the VA, and I'm a Marine Corps vet, and that's the VA I go to. So we got pride flags at the VA, fake chicken,
guys in the girls' locker room, dogs and cats living together. What has happened to Mayberry?
Mayberry's gone, baby. Mayberry's gone. Well, when's the last time you've been to that VA?
Probably last month.
Next time you go, I mean, I would make it clear that this you don't approve. I would at least try to find somebody you can tell that to. That's with the VA.
I'm still upset about the Packers beating my Chiefs in the first Super Bowl. So I'm very far to go over the edge.
All right, Billy. Thank you very much for your phone call. Thank you for your service to our country as well. Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
Have a good day, sir. Let's go to James, who's on the line. Hey, James, welcome to WTN. What are you freaking out about?
How you doing, Pamela? I'm freaking out. Now, I was calling for some advice, really.
Uh-oh. You want advice from Sister Pamela? I'll do my best.
I'm going to take it because it's getting crazy now. The parking at Opry Mills is crazy.
The parking at Opry Mills is crazy?
Now, I'm thinking about what if I identify as a pregnant lady this weekend to get some good parking. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Now, I just need, because that parking is terrible, and if I identify this weekend
James,
as a pregnant lady, can I? Yeah.
Here's the deal. I'm a female of a certain size, and I'm not going to lie. I've taken advantage of those pregnant lady parking spots.
Okay, well, I'm about to do it this weekend, Pamela, so if I call you Monday to bail me out, you know how woke they are up at Opry Mill.
The good news is, you're welcome. Good luck. And the good news is, it's not against the law to park in those spaces. That's just, a courtesy parking spot that Opry Mills or whatever other company has put there. So you won't get a ticket, and you won't get towed, and you won't be arrested or any of that kind of stuff. People might look at you funny. But other than that, I think you'll be good to go. Let's go to Kevin, who's on the line. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Did I hit the line wrong? I did. All right, let's see. Let me put it on hold, and let me try it again. There we go. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
I'm on the right side of the dirt. I just wanted to give your listeners something to freak out about.
All right.
The USDA supposedly announced today that it's okay to grow a blob of meat. Well, what people don't know is they've actually been eating a Mac Petrie for the last year.
They've been what now?
They've been eating the Mac Petrie for the last year.
The Mac Petrie for the last year.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't understand.
Well, they just announced that it's approved today.
Right.
But now, these two factories that's owned by the Chinese have been producing for a year now.
Right, in Singapore.
In America.
In Singapore.
Okay, yeah. But
all right. So what McPetrie have we been eating already that isn't labeled from these companies?
The chicken McNugget. Because to me it's kind of like the can of Spam.
Yeah.
Something posing as meat. Well, y'all have a good weekend and don't harass Brian too much.
All right. Thank you very much for your phone call.
Thanks, Kevin.
I appreciate that, Kevin. It is 11:51, 615-737-9986. Steve, I think you might be the last guy we'll get to when we come back. So stick around. I said 6. You can super text at 615-737-9986. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Is that on purpose?
No, it wasn't.
Is Des playing on this tune?
Bell says he didn't play
All right,
on this
he didn't play
record.
on this tune. All right, Des Dickerson is coming up next at 12:05. So be listening for that. He'll take you until 3 o'clock, and then Brian Wilson will be in here for the drive right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It has been a very fun Friday. It is interesting to me to see what freaks people out. And right now it's chickens in a Petri dish. That seems to be the big freak out today. I find that fascinating. All right. Have yourself a good weekend. I will be back here on Monday. I'll be here Monday and Tuesday. And then the rest of the week, I'm actually going to the border to find out what's happening down there in McAllen, Texas. So anyway, all of that to say, have a great weekend. News is next.